sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Ohio.
The sun is shining. It's a gorgeous day for baseball at Great American Ballpark. The Reds have a chance to get out the brooms. A 3-game sweep of the Giants, and oh, would that make these fans happy. And all the action is coming up here on the home of the Reds, Fox Sports Ohio. And hi again, everyone, with Chris Wells, Jim Day. Thanks for joining us here for Reds baseball. And if Scooter Jeanette, Chris, has anything to say about it, perhaps a 3-game sweep might be in order.
Hey, I thought this was the dog days of summer where guys beginning to wear down a little bit. Well, not Scooter. There's plenty left in his fuel tank right now. I mean, he is absolutely on fire. He's pulling the ball for base hits. He's slicing it through the middle. 8 for 12, 2 doubles in his last few games. I mean, this guy's just on fire. That's why he's right there in the middle of the lineup, taking up where Joey Votto normally would be.
As far as starting pitching goes for the Reds, giving up the home run ball has been the bugaboo this season, and proof positive last time out for Luis Castillo. Pitched fairly well, but 2 pitches got him.
Well, you know, I've said this for a long time. I don't think it's ever been more difficult to pitch in the major leagues than right now. The balls are harder, the batters are stronger, the bats are balls coming off the bat harder than ever. So when you miss your spot, even if it's only by 2 or 3 inches, man, oh man, sometimes you pay the price. And here's what happened with Daniel Descalso up for the Diamondbacks. His last start, Castillo missed his spot basically right down the middle, and Descalso takes him deep. That one hurt. But when you have Paul Goldschmidt up there the way he does right here, and you line it over the outer part of the plate, Goldschmidt loves to hit the ball the other way. You elevate it a little bit. All he's got to do is apply the barrel, and there it goes again. So, you know, baseball's a funny game for Castillo. He's learning that he's good enough to be here, but he's also learning that one little mistake can ruin your entire afternoon. Let's hope he's able to keep his concentration level at that peak for every pitch that he's out there.
This Giants offense, they have struggled, Chris, and Luis Castillo hopes to continue these type of numbers today.
Well, what you've got really is a Giants ball club full of veteran players that once were very, very good. Individually, we've got some MVP players out there, but now they're at the waning end of their career, and they're just not able to get it together. They were hoping for one more run. It doesn't look like they're going to get it. They've lost the first 2. The Reds are in perfect shape right here for a 3-game sweep.
For the Reds offensively, it's about getting it started, and the guys at the top have been producing, including Jose. Reds and Giants straight ahead on Fox Sports Ohio.
Is brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealers. By Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. And by GMC.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Local 12 meteorologist Brian Sherman with your game day forecast. Lots of sunshine today. It's going to be a great day for baseball in the Queen City. Temperatures into the low 80s by the 1:10 first pitch at Great American Ballpark. We're heading for the middle 80s by the time we hit the bottom of the ninth this afternoon. It will be more humid working through the afternoon as well, so plenty of fluids, plenty of water if you're heading out to the ballpark. Enjoy the nice weather because we've got changes on the way as we head into early next week. That's your latest forecast here. I'm Local 12 meteorologist Brian Sherman on Fox Sports Ohio.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Reds' offense has really started to click of late, and it's been the top half of the order now that's really settled in and hit very well, including Jose Peraza. As a matter of fact, on this homestand, he's hitting .394 with 6 extra base hits. But when he leads off, even though he's hitting second in the order, when he leads off an inning, look out. How about these numbers? 3 for 5, including 2 singles and a home run. So Jose Peraza now has that batting average up to .289. And that brings us to today's IGS, bringing the energy, and that's Jose Peraza. When leading off an inning this season, it's averaged down to .360, which is first. On base percentage, .399 first, 50 hits, 17 extra base hits, and 10 doubles. By the way, the Reds lead the National League in on base percentage at .339. So Jose Peraza is really getting comfortable there in the 2-hole and playing shortstop. Well, the Reds go for the sweep behind Luis Castillo. If he has a good game, the Giants have only scored 2 runs in the first 2. Reds have a great shot.
Luis Castillo about to make start number 25 and his 40th in his big league career as the Reds go for a 3-game sweep over the Giants. And per usual in Major League Baseball on Sundays, when the home team takes the field, youngsters await them at their positions and signing some autographs and a lifetime full of memories when we see this each and every Sunday. One of the coolest things that Major League Baseball does each and every week. Here's the lineup that Castillo will face here today. Brandon Belt moved up to the leadoff spot. Bruce Bochy looking for a spark. He'll make his first career start leading off in the big leagues. Joe Panik in the 2 spot. Andrew McCutcheon now batting 3rd today. Brandon Crawford Evan Longoria, Nick Hundley, Steven Duggar, Gorgis Hernandez gets the start in left field, and batting ninth on the mound, Andrew Suarez. No Buster Posey in the lineup today for the Giants. And for the Reds, it's the fireballing Luis Castillo.
He's hopefully catching the Giants at the right time. You know, the Giants are a veteran ball club. We've talked about it the first couple of games where individually in the past they've all been exceptional players. But, you know, sometimes a team goes into a slump and it just, you know, when you don't hit, it looks like you're not trying. They're very lethargic. And you'd like to sneak up on them one more game and let them get out of town and go to New York without picking up a win right here. Castillo has been good more recently because he's throwing a lot more strikes. Right-handers he's held in check. Left-handers have given him a hard problem. But being able to get ahead in the count is always a key.
Check out our Algonac storylines here for today. Taming the Giants, and the Reds have done that. 6 straight wins over San Francisco here at Great American Ballpark. And over this span, they have outscored the Giants 47-11. So it has been Reds domination here at GABP, and they're hoping for one more in the bag. Wind up and the first pitch, and we are underway. 84-degree game time temperature, sunny skies, and so glad he could join us here on this Sunday afternoon. Home plate umpires Phil Cuzzy, crew chief Tom Hallion down at first base, Ryan Blakeney at second base, Dan Bellino at third. And quickly ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, right now Castillo's got Brandon Belt behind the fastball. We'll see if he pulls the string here and see if he can get him out on a changeup. There it is.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good start for Castillo.
Well, all set up by fastballs that are in the strike zone. Castillo, when you dial it up at 97, and then you can subtract about 12 miles an hour or so on your changeup. That is just a really big adjustment for a hitter to make.
And that'll bring up Joe Panik. We've talked about this throughout the series. This was a road trip, particularly on the back end of which that the Giants were hoping to get healthy. Facing the Reds here down in the standings. They're off to New York to face the Mets next.
Yeah, the problem with the Mets, though, I mean, if you lose 3 in a row right here, and they thought this was a soft schedule.
Here's a drive hit the other way, hit well. Dilson Herrera, though, on the warning track, gloves it for out number 2.
You know, the Giants come in here 500 ball club. They look at the Reds record and recently not playing all that great, thinking, hey, we can get some W's on the board right here. You come into Cincinnati, then you go to New York. They're having a horrible year, but the Mets will get Syndergaard and DeGrom in their series against the New York Mets. So it doesn't get a whole lot easier as you head east.
And the Reds found out all about that recently. Yep. Trip through New York, thinking, okay, we can match up with these guys, except when Thor and DeGrom took them out.
Yeah, when you take a hobbling offense in and face Syndergaard and DeGrom,
yeah,
not easy.
0-1 pitch to Andrew McCutchen, and he punches it the other way. That'll be extra bases as the ball rattles around, but McCutchen will hold up at second base, his 26th double of the season.
Well, McCutchen's always been a good player. That's a slider right there that Castillo just kind of cuts off a little bit. It hangs up for McCutchen, and this guy is just such a good player. A little bit of everything in his major league career.
Yep.
Can run, could play great defense. Always seemed to throw to the right base. Heady player, in the right place, right time. Clutch.
Gamer.
Pally.
Swing and a miss by Brandon Crawford. 269 batter is Crawford, 11 home runs, 45 RBIs. Going back 14 games, the Giants have lost 9 of their last 14. They came into Cincinnati even 500 record, now 2 games below. Trailing the Arizona Diamondbacks by 7 in the AL West, and also 7 games back in the wild card hunt. 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Bruce Bochy searching for answers, and they haven't come this weekend so far. Here's a ground ball, which should get Castillo out of the inning, and he does. A double and left. That's coming up. Spot, and he says, thank you very much. I like hitting up there.
I told you like Christmas yesterday when I got back to the leadoff spot, and it's something that that's where I deserve to be. That's where I want to be at, and that's what something that about I've always been there. I've never hit anywhere besides that, besides ninth, and just something that I feel like I want to be back there. I want to keep working hard to actually keep that spot.
So Billy last night had a 9-game hitting streak snapped. He'll try to get back on that beam here. Here's the rest of the Reds lineup. Peraza, Jeanette, Suarez will follow him. Phillip Ervin in right field. Tucker Barnhart back at first base, his second big league start, or first base I should say, and his second big league start at first. Herrera, Casale, and Castillo. And facing the left-hander Andrew Suarez, 25 years of age, 6'1", 187.
4.8 on the year average of, or earned run average of 4.4. He's a guy that is kind of a power left-hander. Comes after you pretty good with the fastball, hard breaking ball, somewhere between a curveball and a slider. Not exactly one of these finesse guys who's trying to change speeds and get your way out in front.
Second time he faces the Reds this season. The Reds saw him in San Francisco back in May. 6 innings, and the Reds got 5 runs off of him. He is coming off of a good start in Los Angeles. 6 innings scoreless baseball. The Giants are wondering which Suarez will show up here today. You go back to his last 6 starts. His ERA above 6, and that is not a good start when you walk Billy Hamilton.
That's probably the first thing they tell you in the pitchers meeting about, you go over the opposing hitters and what their strengths are and weaknesses and so on, and where they like the ball and this and that. But the number one thing that would come up when you face the Reds is, you know that guy Billy Hamilton? You don't want to walk in.
Hamilton second in the National League in stolen bases, 29 steals and 34 attempts. Much tougher proposition when you're going against a left-handed starting pitcher.
Well, if he has a, I think that's what Billy Hamilton wants to do is kind of ferret out whether Suarez has a good move other than that step-off move. So you can do this a number of different ways. You can, study a lot of video, or you can get a big lead out there, a one-way lead, so that you force him to come over and you start to read what he does. And as you go back to the bag.
Peraza's had a good homestand. 394 batter on this homestand, 13 for 33. 4 doubles, a triple, and a home run. Peraza just serves it down the right field line and just foul. And that would have scored Hamilton easily. And Billy will play bat boy. Does it all.
I mean, he came all the way around, second, third, cut through the infield, picked up the bat, and gave it back to Peraza. Team player.
This is the longest route maybe in Major League history to retrieve a bat. Oh-2 pitch. Gonna have to hurry to get the speedy Peraza, but they turn it nicely.
Well, that's a quick turn by Joe Panik. I didn't think there was a chance of them getting Peraza at first base. Longoria gets rid of it, perfect feed, but in and out of the hands and glove of Joe Panik there at second base. This is a turn here.
Wow. They cut down the 2 speediest players on the field today. And the 2-out batter is Scooter Gennett. To the All-Star break, in which he went into the break leading the National League in hitting, went into a dry spell, but has turned the wick back up. 303 batter on this homestand, and that average at 313, third highest now in the league. Slices one the other way. But going back and getting it is Gorkis Hernandez. 3 up, 3 down for Andrew Suarez. As Peraza, Gennett, Barnhart, and Casale. And speaking of Tucker, second start at first base, and we asked him to give a little self-assessment.
Just used the catcher mentality and knocked a couple of ground balls down. just tried to catch the ball. So the things that I was most worried about was the picks from the pitcher. And after I got one of those, I feel like I charged it, which was awkward. But after that, I felt pretty comfortable.
Was able to manage it pretty well for a guy that had never, outside of 3 innings of a defensive switch, had never started at first base. And got through the game okay, and he's back out there at first base with Joey Votto on the 10-day disabled list. Count holds it, no balls and 2 strikes to Evan Longoria. Longoria, Hundley, Duggar here in the top of the second. Punch the other way for a base hit. Second hit off of Castillo.
Well, the one thing that Luis Castillo has done really in the last month or so is has figured out a way to get right-handed hitters out. And one of those ways is to go off-speed change-ups down and away. And I'm wondering if enough times you do that, the other teams get scouting reports. Second time now that a former really good player, right-hander like McCutchen and now Longoria has gone away on that off-speed pitch. So if you see that's the trend, you know, you get one step ahead of them and you start burying the ball inside.
Nick Hundley at the plate. No Buster Posey in the lineup here today.
I have a theory on that, you know.
What's the theory?
Other than the day game after the night game, and, you know, he looks kind of tired anyway. Well, today's starting pitcher for the Giants, Andrew Suarez.
Could be 2 if he hurries. Throw off line, and Jeanette does a good job just to get the out at second base. Not a good throw from Castillo.
Well, that's really the key. Thinking 2 all the way. The first thing you want to tell yourself, get your feet set and throw the ball and hit the guy right in the chest. Make sure you get that first out. If you happen to get the second out, that's great, but don't make it tough. And he made it tough, but Scooter was right there to pick him up.
Back to your theory.
Well, you know, the starting pitcher for the Giants today, Andrew Suarez, did his college work at University of Miami down in Coral Gables. And Buster Posey is a Florida State Seminole.
Oh. Herrera came in initially, and he paid the price for it. On his way to third base is Hundley. And it's the first time we've seen Herrera out there showing obvious signs of not being used to play in the outfield.
Well, this is going to be a tough scoring decision, too, because it really should be an out. I mean, in the big leagues, this is a ball that should be caught. At the college level, it should be caught. But Dilson Herrera's out there, you know, and he's kind of a newbie. You know, you lose the ball on the shirts. It's harder to pick the ball up during the day than it is at night. I said at the very beginning of the game, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for him during a day game than a night game. And now Castillo's got to pitch around a little lapse in defense.
And they score that, a base hit.
You know, and they have to do that because they can't, I guess, penalize the fielder for a bad route. If he got to the ball and then dropped it, it's an error. But if you don't get to the ball because you take a bad route or you misread it, it's not an error. It's a hit. One of the injustices of scoring.
This time, Herrera back to the track, reaches up and makes the catch, but the Reds will give up a run here because of the misplayed ball by Herrera, and the Giants have a 1-0 lead.
You know, I know that they want to get Dilson Herrera in the lineup. He hit a home run, and they want to find out whether this young man can play or not. But, you know, you've also got younger players in the minor leagues that you want to see if they can play too. And coming up here for this week, while Joey Votto's on the disabled list, you have Aristides Aquino, who is an outfielder by trade. You know, this would have been an opportunity a couple of games to get him in there and kind of get his feet wet as far as the speed of a major league game.
Particularly with a left-handed starter on the mound.
I mean, you've got 2 guys basically playing completely out of position here. First base, Tucker Barnhart. Left field, Dilson Herrera. And it's just tough to win major league games like that because, you know, you're going against teams that aren't putting themselves into that same position.
There's Aquino. If and when he gets into a game, it will be his major league debut. And has never played above Double-A. Down goes Suarez, but the Giants get a run. 1-0 San Francisco. Giants, Gorgis Hernandez in left. Duggar in center, Andrew McCutchen back in right field. Infield, Longoria, Crawford, Panic at second base, Brandon Belt at first. Nick Hundley hanging the signs for Andrew Suarez. And a pretty good guy to get advice from, that being Billy Hamilton. And him talking it over with Herrera. And a misplayed ball in left that cost the Reds a run. Suarez v. Suarez in the bottom of the second. Eugenio's had a tough homestand, 6 for 29, but he did drive in a run last night, his first in over a week, and now with 89 of them, again tied for the National League lead in RBIs. And it's a three-way tie now. Javier Baez and Jesus Aguilar.
Yeah, what the Giants have done in this series with Suarez is basically challenged him upstairs with fastballs. He's made his mark this year by being such a good breaking ball hitter, likes the ball down, out over the plate. And the Giants are adjusting. Maybe it's time for Suarez to figure out what they're trying to do. Suarez, the pitcher, that time really misses his mark, wanted to go up and in and was way off.
And this is the first matchup, Suarez versus Suarez, back in May. Eugenio Suarez had that game off.
Yeah, that's the first time he's missed a game in 80. He's got an 80 consecutive game playing streak, longest on this Reds ball club. Of course, he returned from the DL after breaking his thumb back on April the 26th. You really kind of wonder, had Suarez not injured his thumb, maybe the Reds don't go into the kind of tailspin they did. And if they don't go into that kind of tailspin, maybe Brian Price is still the manager here. And there's a lot of ifs right there, speculation.
Crawford bobbles, recovers, out number 1.
But those are the kind of, events that happen that are beyond control that can really hurt the ball club. I mean, not having Suarez in the lineup was big. And Crawford is one of the best. He's on the All-Star team this year, 2-time All-Star overall. He is an exceptional hitter, but he's really a smooth fielder.
The batter is Phillip Ervin. And right now making the most of his another chance at big league baseball. 24 games since his latest return to the bigs. .338 batter. .373 on base percentage. .585 slugging percentage. 5 doubles, 3 home runs, and 15 RBIs in 24 games. And on Friday night, he sent everyone home happy. His first walk-off home run in the bottom of the 11th. As the Reds won 2-1, and last night 7-1. They've held the Giants down here. Just 2 runs through the first 2 games in this series, but now trailing by 1. Payoff pitch to Ervin. Three-two again. Here it comes. An awkward swing and a tag, and first punch out for Andrew Suarez.
Suarez is a pitcher whose fastball and breaking pitch have a great difference in speed. That's a big old overhand yacker right there. And I mean, part of the deception is the break of the pitch. The other part is the fact that he gives you a fast arm and you get out in front a little bit.
Oh, he'll be all over the strike zone, and coming in 21 career major league starts, 100 strikeouts, 29 walks. And working quickly. Barnhart riding a 5-game hitting streak. He has doubled in a career high 3 straight appearances, has Tucker. Back-to-back punch outs for Andrew Suarez through 2, 1-0 Giants. price for $49.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer. Back to the top of the order for the Giants. Brandon Belt. First time he's ever led off in the big leagues. He was asked before the game, can you remember ever leading off in your life? Said he couldn't remember. Said it probably happened somewhere along the line. Sally hangs the sign, sets up on the inside part of the plate, and it's now a 2-2 count.
Well, how about this ball strike ratio now for Luis Castillo? We've talked all year long about how great it would be if he just threw the ball over the plate a little bit more. Well, today, how about 24 strikes and only 3 out of the strike zone?
2-2. See you later. Second time he punched out Brandon Belt.
And it's the second time he got him on the same pitch, too. Got him on an 0-2 changeup the first time. Here's the changeup one more time, and Belt way out in front.
When it's executed properly, I mean, what a pretty pitch changeup is.
You know, I believe it's a pitch that every pitcher can throw. I mean, if you really stick at it, if you work at it, and don't expect results too quickly. I mean, some guys will tell you, I mean, even Mario Soto will tell you that it took years for him to develop his changeup, and even when he did get it, it's an ongoing project to keep it, you know, having it get better. More movement, better deception, better placement.
Broken bat, floater, and that'll fall.
Right out on the end of the bat, there's about as pretty a changeup as you'll see right there. There's 2 ways to break a bat. One, you get it way out on the end. The other, you get it in on the hands.
Here's Andrew McCutchen. Doubled his first time up and was stranded right there, back at the first. Average at 258 for McCutchen. After that first inning double, 14 home runs, 53 RBIs. And Castillo ahead of another batter, no balls and 2 strikes. Count holds at 0-2.
Now remember the last time up, McCutchen took that off-speed pitch and lined it right down the first baseline for a double. This time on an 0-2 count, Castillo comes right into his kitchen. Take that.
Swing and a miss. Had him out in front. 4 of them now for Castillo.
You know, you got to feel that if you're sitting in the Giants dugout right now and you're watching Castillo adding and subtracting, pounding the strike zone. I mean, just every pitch he's throwing is a strike or appears to be a strike. I mean, you're thinking, boy, you better make that one-run hold up. It didn't look like there's a whole lot more behind it.
Castillo got Brandon Crawford to ground out to end the first. Would take a duplication of that. 12 of 13 first pitch strikes. The 0-1. And again, a 0-2 count. In San Francisco, damage. 0 for 9 in this series. Crawford lays off and the count's 1-2. Got him. Foul tip into the mid of Casale. 3 strikeouts in the inning. Charlie's, home of Free Pie Wednesdays. By your local Ford dealer, Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. 7, 8, and 9 for the Reds. Those fans basking in the sun. Herrera at the plate. As Herrera starting for consecutive days for the first time with the Reds. And a towering home run he hit last night.
Yeah, I would imagine that with the ball that he misplayed earlier in this ball game, and it's the only run been scored, that he probably comes to the plate with a little extra incentive, maybe trying to do something more than he normally would, and trying to make up for it. And it's only natural to think that.
Yep.
What Suarez has done, though, when he's gotten ahead of the Reds hitters, and he did strike out the side in the last inning, is just bounce that breaking ball down, and they've chased it.
And that'll fall.
There's a breaking ball down. He gets it in on the trademark, but is able to loft it over the shortstop's head.
Tying run at first base, Castillo at the plate. Castillo started in game 1 of this 3-game set. And 2 for 4 on that night. Drove in a run, which was key because it was a 1-run game. 2-1 Reds victory. 311 hitter. Herrera is yet to attempt a steal with the Reds.
That appears to be his best move. That little step-off move.
Sally lays off one low and away, and it's 1-1. Check swing and a called strike. Sally asking, was that on the swing or was that location? Ripped down the left field line. On his way to third base is Herrera. Ball rattles around. They're going to wave him home. And the Reds have tied it at 1. Production from the bottom of the lineup.
Gotta love that. I tell you, you get a little first base hit, leadoff hit by Herrera, a little dunk job, and then a seeing eye double right down the third base line. And it normally would have put only Herrera at third base, but it rattled around down there, kind of misplayed. And I can't say misplayed, it's just very hard to anticipate where that ball is going to end up. So Gorkis Hernandez finally gets it in, but the Reds have tied it.
Castillo trying to bunt him over. That'll fall, and now has to hurry, and everyone's safe. Misplayed by Brandon Belt.
Well, this is exactly why, as a pitcher, you always run down the line. Because sometimes you lay a bunt down and you jog down the line and you would still give a defender a chance to throw you out. But Castillo's running. He knows he makes a pretty good bunt right there. It has a little backspin on it, and all 3 fielders converge. Nobody's able to make the play, and that goes for a base hit.
First and third, and still nobody out.
Oh, they're going to give an error on the first baseman there.
Give Castillo a sacrifice. Hamilton questioning home plate umpire Phil Cuzzy, and not a nice exchange. Here's a drive into left field, and Hernandez goes over to get it, but tagging up nicely and scoring is Kurt Casale, and the Reds have a 2-1 lead.
Now that's where the ability to get that runner over to third base makes it a lot easier to get him in. Casale able to score on the sacrifice fly. Everybody gives you high fives when that happens. but it was a bunt by Castillo that made it.
Still just one out in the inning. And this will be a meeting of the minds on the mound. Pitching coach Kurt Young out to talk it over with Andrew Suarez. Hernandez got a nice jump on that ball. If that falls, it's real trouble. But single, double, bunt and an error and a sacrifice fly, Billy Hamilton. The Reds have 2 in the inning and hoping for more. First pitch to Peraza. No balls and 2 strikes. Blocked by Hundley. Hard hit ball past Crawford into left field, a base hit. Third hit of the inning for the Reds.
Now that was very close to the same ground ball that Peraza hit into a double play in the first inning. That time a little bit more toward the shortstop, finds a hole. He's pinched towards the bag with double play depth and more. Reds are getting some breaks right here in this inning. I don't think there was really a hard hit ball. Castillo's ball was, or Casali's double was right down the line, basically a hard hit ground ball. Hamilton hit the ball harder than anybody, and it turned into being out. Sacrifice fly.
And it continues for Scooter Gennett.
Oh, he broke the bat on that.
Which is rare.
Well, I was getting to a point where I don't know if those bats even break. You know, he's got his own bat company. He and his brother and some other folks show bat company, but they are durable, if nothing else. They also have a lot of hits in them.
No question. After the 2 seasons he's put together, there might be some other players coming to calling.
I'm surprised there's not a line.
Yeah. When I say something to Scooter and he will agree with it, instead of some guys will say that's cool, he'll say that's show.
Boy, marketing genius.
Well, last year in particular, during interviews, he would mix in, you know, someone would ask him about such and such hitting, he would mix in the show bat during the soundbite. He gets it.
Now, in your, what is he now, 3rd in the league in hitting?
Fair ball. Here comes Castillo to the plate. Peraza on his horses. They're going to wave him around. He'll score easily. Scooter Gennett, 2 RBI triple. 4-1 Reds. That's show.
Well, a double down the left field line and a triple down the right field line. Hanging curveball right there. Gennett puts a good swing on it. And it really kicked up some dust, some white dust, as it went right on the line. Eludes McCutcheon. That enables Castillo to score. Peraza comes around and Scooter goes all the way into 3rd. Oh, what a big inning.
That is Jeanette's first triple of the season.
This is just a back-breaking inning for the Giants. I mean, they're thinking right now, just warm up the bus. Take us to the airport.
Suarez, center field, hit well. Bye-bye. Number 27 for Suarez. RBIs 90 and 91. Big inning for the Reds. And the 27 home runs, a new career high for Eugenio Suarez. A 6th spot on the board. His last home run was back on August 4th. We talked last night how he had gone over a week without an RBI, so coming out of it a little bit. Depending on what happens elsewhere, might come out of this day with the National League lead in RBIs.
Look where the pitch is. Down and out over the plate. We talked about how the Giants in this series were pitching Suarez up and pitching Suarez in. But boy, that swing right there is just makes him pay.
Tough inning for Suarez, and it continues. He walks Phillip Ervin. Tough inning for Andrew Suarez, that is. And Nick Hundley will go out and have a chat. Last 4 hits for the Reds, and they have 5 in the inning. They've hit for the cycle.
Yeah, this is the kind of series that if you're a Giants fan and you thought that you were in the race and you see what's happened here in Cincinnati, you're thinking, all right, time to start rebuilding. Trade the guys you can, put them on waivers, see if anybody wants them. And let's get some guys up here. This is a very disheartening start to a long road trip that they thought where they were going to be able to find out one way or another whether they're in it or not.
Giants have action in the pen. Ty Block warming up. Jeanette finds a hole. Tucker Barnhart, excuse me, finds a hole. 6th hit of the inning, and the Reds have batted around.
Well, the Reds have really done a job this year, win-loss wise, against left-handed starters. They're 17 and 15, so they're a couple of games over 500 when they face outlaws. And they're showing Andrew Suarez a reason why.
Dilson Herrera led off this inning with a single. He'll take his 2nd AB of the 3rd. So in this inning, single, RBI double, error, sacrifice fly RBI, single Peraza, 2 RBI triple Jeanette, 2-run home run Suarez, walk to Irvin, single Barnhart. And still only 1 out. Second out of the inning. And the batter's Kurt Casale. Casale RBI double earlier in this inning. The 11th batter of the inning for the Reds. One and one. It's been a 36-pitch inning so far for Andrew Suarez. And he's had to back up a lot of bases.
So he's getting his run again.
He is. Throwing and running, all in one inning.
Well, the problem with backing up bases when your dugout's on the third base side is that
Sally, second hit of the inning. Here comes Urban to the plate. 7 runs here in the Reds' third. And second RBI of the inning for Casale.
boy, when it rains, it pours here in Cincinnati on the San Francisco Giants. Casale ripped the double down the third baseline earlier in this inning. And now he plates another with a base hit in the left field, and that will send young Andrew Suarez through the showers.
Tough day for the lefty. Ty Block will come in as the Giants make the Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. What an inning it's been so far, and the Reds hope to continue it. Tough day for Andrew Suarez. He gives up 7, at least so far here in the bottom of the third. 4th time this season the Reds have scored 7 runs in an inning.
And sometimes it's just not your day. I mean, just think about how this inning started with Herrera getting jammed and a little bloop job over the shortstop's head. Then Casale hits a ground ball right down the third baseline that goes for a double. That could have easily been at the third baseman for a double play. And then a sacrifice bunt that's misplayed. And it kind of got loose from there.
Nice play by Ty Block. Retires Castillo and retires the Reds in the third, but what a fruitful inning it was. 7 runs scored. All Reds. For 2,200 pieces of one-of-a-kind items from Reds history, past and present. Items include banners, photos, and signage and furniture from Great American Ballpark and more. The auction runs until August 21st. Fans can view auction items and place bids at ebth.com/Cincinnati Reds. That's ebth.com/Cincinnati Reds. So we'll see what Luis Castillo does with a 7-1 lead. And you know, when you're a starting pitcher and you hit twice in an inning, things are going well. And first pitch to Evan Longoria is up and away.
That's a headline, meaning that he misses on a first pitch. He has thrown 40 pitches, and only 5 of those have not been in the strike zone.
Well, he's got 5 strikeouts, so he's got his equal amount of strikeouts as balls thrown outside of the strike zone. Ow. Jeanette will call off Irvin. 1 out. And now Nick Hundley.
I would imagine what makes this even more satisfying than anything for Luis Castillo is the fact that he was originally signed by the San Francisco Giants. When he was 19 years old, he played in the Giants Dominican Summer League. He was a little bit late being signed. 19 is kind of old for a Dominican player to be signed, a free agent. He played down there a second year and really began to get it together. They moved him up to the Sally League, played for Augusta in 2014. And then, believe it or not, he was traded to the Miami Marlins. And that was a deal that went the other way with Casey McGee. Remember Casey McGee used to play over there at third base for the Milwaukee Brewers. Traded to the Padres at one time. That trade got negated, and then the Reds stepped in and were able to pick him up from the Marlins in January of 2017 in exchange for Austin Price and Isaiah White. I still am scratching my head. over the Marlins trying to trade this guy, not once but twice.
With a changeup like that.
Well, I mean, not only a changeup like that, but since the beginning of last year, of all starting pitchers in the major leagues, the hardest throwing one is Luis Severino, averaging 97 miles an hour. Number 2 is Luis Castillo. So the first thing that you think of when you think of Castillo, you say changeup. But I mean, he's also got the firepower to back it up.
On 2 particular deals, you got to credit the Reds pro scouting department on that end.
No doubt.
The Castillo trade and the Suarez trade. Thefts.
You know, you have to hit home runs every once in a while on those. You know, I don't think that the Reds thought, you know, Castillo was going to ever be, you know, a middle of the rotation pitcher every 5th day, because he was still a young pitcher when they got him. Suarez the same way. But, you know, one man's junk is another man's treasure.
Yep.
You have to credit these guys individually for, you know, turning themselves into the kind of players they are. I think that, you know, Castillo just needed a few innings under his belt and some good guidance, and he certainly has gotten that from Danny Darwin. I think the other part of the guidance comes also from, we had a shot of him, I think, during the Diamondbacks series when Mario Soto was in town.
Yeah.
I mean, Soto means so much, especially to those Dominican pitchers who, you know, look at Mario Soto as we would Willie Mays.
Another filthy pitch, back-to-back punch out, 7 of them overall for Castillo.
Park, but tonight the Mets will take on the Phillies at the Little League Classic in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Jared Hughes is all about making these Little Leaguers' dreams come true.
I think it's a great idea, and then the kids there get to go out and watch the big league game and then go play their own game. It's I mean, it really is a game of dreams. So they're out there on the field living their dream at age 12, but a lot of them have bigger dreams, and that's to play in the major leagues. So they get a glimpse of that as well.
Pretty cool that they play that game where the Little Leaguers every year dazzle us with the Little League World Series. Second straight year they've played at the venue. And it's always great to hear from guys like Jared Hughes. We want to talk about a guy that just appreciates stuff like that, who gets it. So thank you very much for that, Shannon. Billy Hamilton here. 12 men came to the plate for the Reds in the third. One out. If the Reds home run hits the Toyota sign during today's game, and the way it's going, who knows? Carolyn Walker, if it happens, from Cincinnati, you're going to win the brand new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark, thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Jose Peraza at the plate. Singled his last time up in that third inning. Now has 140 hits on the season. Came into the game 5th in the National League in hits. And you think about the season that Jeanette is having. If you look at the hits column in the National League, Peraza came into the game just 2 behind Scooter in hits. Now here's the top 5. 3 Braves, 2 Reds. Now you might win some money on that.
It took a while for Peraza to have the confidence in himself to rise above everybody telling him that he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
For 2 years in a row, he took the job of, a very coveted and valuable Reds player. A couple of years ago, or last year, he was basically awarded the second base job and took over for Brandon Phillips. Those are big shoes to fill. And then eventually lost that job to Scooter Jeanette when Jeanette basically went off offensively. And then this year he took over for Zach Cozart. A lot of people were, screaming for Zach Cozart to be signed to an extension. So they didn't think that Peraza could take over there and play shortstop. So he realized the importance of what he was doing each of these years. But little by little, he kind of grows into his own. His confidence is getting better. He learns the English language, makes him more comfortable around, people who are other than his countrymen.
Another hit.
And he's been doing that all year long. And he's a great kid.
He really is. And you have to pry him out of the lineup. He wants to play every game, every inning.
Well, remember last year we showed him from the side, and his back foot would actually pick up and move backwards a couple of inches in an effort to stay back. And he told me a couple of weeks ago, he says, I was trying everything last year. I was just experimenting with whatever from game to game. And now he just feels that if you can keep your head still, and keep your head behind the ball, keep your front shoulder behind the impact of the baseball, that's where he gives him a lot of chance to put the ball in play. And he's been doing it.
He's a good base runner as well. And 18 steals in 25 attempts. And I applaud anyone that doesn't speak the English language and to work hard on it. And under really the tutelage of probably his best friend on the team, Suarez, really worked at his English, and now you can have he knows what you're saying. He will still use an interpreter doing television interviews just to answer questions, even though he knows what the question is and he could probably answer them. But it takes a lot of courage to step up publicly and try to answer questions in not your native language.
Well, it does, and the transition is very difficult. But just think about all these superstar players whose primary language is Spanish. And how those players, if I'm talking about Hall of Fame caliber players, all of those guys eventually, almost all, learn English, and they learn it very well. So this is kind of the fact of being a superstar. I'm not putting him in a superstar category yet, but he's certainly having that kind of year that people didn't think he would. And who knows what the ceiling is now with Peraza.
He, like a lot of Latin players, I asked him, what's the best thing you've done to learn English? And he says, I watch TV. And a lot of non-English speaking players will pick up on a series. There he goes from first base, and this one foul. They'll watch a particular series and they'll get to know certain characters and their tendencies and what they say. And that's the biggest way that he's learned the language. And he's a big movie buff now, watching English-speaking movies. One of the first, I'll tell you one of the first English phrases that he learned, and we get this all the time when we're on the road on the elevator, and your room happens to be on one of the lower floors. One of the first English phrases I heard him speak to me when I got off the elevator on like floor 3. He said, "Use the stairs."
Which is a joke among baseball players for years, because if you get on an elevator and there's 4 or 5 ball players on the elevator and you happen to press the floor which is the closest to the ground floor, no matter what it is, it could be number 10.
Yeah.
They'll either tell you, you know, use the stairs or something along those lines, or this is a walking floor.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Yep, the first one off the elevator. You're right, it can be floor 15.
Yeah.
But if you're first off, use the stairs. And that's the first English phrase I ever heard from him.
So he's funny too.
He's funny too. You know, another thing that we picked up on is he likes to belt out the national anthem. Check him out. That's another thing that he learned in English. I mean, he's getting it right there.
He can hit that high note,
He
huh?
did, and he set out to learn the national anthem. You know, obviously it's played before every game, so he learned the meaning of it. So much so that, as you can see, he's killing it right there. We've seen it over and over. In fact, take this shot a lot on the road. Strike 3 called to Suarez. Uh-oh. Throws the bat, throws the helmet. Phil Cuzzy.
Yeah, you know, credit Phil Cuzzy right here for not overreacting to that. He's going to get written up for throwing his equipment.
Right.
That's a fine, but he's not going to be ejected from the game. That's a cool move by Cuzzy.
Yep. Luxurious handlebar at the Riverfront Club, presented by Jack Casino. Enjoy an all-inclusive upscale food buffet, unlimited Coke products, and the game on a 26-foot high-definition wall, a screen on the wall in this climate-controlled area. Plus, you can head outside for a view of the game from the new Handlebar Terrace. For tickets, visit reds.com/groups. Gorkis Hernandez to lead off the 5th here for the Giants. Luis Castillo has been mighty, mighty impressive. Giving up 1 run, and that was a gift. Two balls and 2 strikes. Runs have been hard to come by for this Giants team. Total of just 8 runs in their last now 5 games. Suarez sets and fires, and Barnhart has to stretch but makes the play. As you enjoy a Miller Lite, and why not look forward to the Hold True moment later in today's game. So 24+ innings now in this series, and the Giants have scored just 3 runs. Take that back to last season. Coming into the game, they had scored 2 runs in their last 36 innings here at Great American Ballpark. Wow. Strike 3 called. Down goes Ty Block. 8 of them now for Castillo.
Back-to-back strikeouts of Brandon Belt. He's a leadoff hitter today, and they both have come on that changeup of his. Just great arm action. They are racking up the Ks here at Great American Ballpark.
Brandon Belt has 2 of them.
You know, the kind of day Castillo is having right now, as far as the number of strikes he throws versus the number of balls that are outside the zone. Just remarkable.
1, 2, 3.
We're going to get into that as we move on.
by Geico. Let's go back to 1956. Jim Maloney, he threw a 10-inning no-hitter against the Cubs. It was a 1-0 win. Maloney threw a 187 pitches. He struck out 12. He walked 10, and he also hit a batter. He went on a 3-2 count on 14 batters. And the 10 walks is the most he ever had, or there ever was in a no-hitter. It was actually his second 10 no-hit innings he threw that season. He gave up a solo home run in the 11th in the first game in June. So, man, 187 pitches. Whew.
Oh, yeah. And when you talk about with any of those guys back in that era, you talk about the way that it's turned out today with a quality start being 6 innings, 3 earned runs. They almost offends them.
Of course, there were a lot of pitchers back in those days, though, that were injured and their careers were cut short. Of course, this was way before Tommy John surgery, or really the ability to perform a shoulder surgery that would enable a pitcher to come back. And sometimes, you know, you look back and you wonder, well, you know, 187 pitches. These guys back then were men, and they're not men here today because they're out of there after 90 pitches. And, you know, maybe not quite so accurate. I think if some of them had it to do over again, they, you know, wish they had been able to come out a little bit earlier, take care of their arms just a little bit more. But what they did back then that they don't seem to be doing as much of now. And everybody's getting in that hit act.
Sure is. Going into second base. And in there safely. 7th double of the season.
And back in those days, I think there were a lot of pitchers that would pitch within themselves a little bit more. Philip Ervin swinging it hard like he normally does and takes advantage of that ball going down the line. Cut off before it gets to the wall. Nice job by Hernandez, but Ervin can really run.
I agree with you on how hard it is to pitch in today's baseball world. They have so much information on you now. The ballparks are smaller.
The balls have lower seams. I think that's one of the biggest things right there. You just can't get the grip and spin the ball like you used to. And the strike zones are smaller.
Strike zone smaller. The bats seem to be harder and triple lacquered.
I remember back in the day that there used to be a big beef bone in the clubhouse, and players would bone their bats. They put them in a vise, and you get this bone, and you'd rub it back and forth over the sweet spot on the baseball bat. And you try to make the wood as hard as you possibly could that way. And sometimes guys would take a little, like a screwdriver or a knife, and they would go along the grooves of the wood, and they would make little grooves, and then they'd bone that down, you know, to try to get any soft spot out of the baseball bat that they have. Of course, it was illegal. And the other way that they were used to do that, once they get the grooves in there, they get some rosin, and they sprinkle some rosin on there, and then bone the rosin into the grooves to try to make it a little bit stickier so that you'd hit more line drives, the ball wouldn't slip off your bat. And then they flame temper it, you know, with a couple of lighters, you know, and I don't know whether it ever worked or not, but it was fun to watch.
Do you remember Ken Griffey Jr.'s bats?
It was black. I do remember that.
It seemed like they put that through the lacquer machine 5 times. And even his teammates would grab a bat and just marvel at one. Players like that get your first cut of wood from whatever bat company. And players study the bats and who has the best wood, basically. And players would just look at Junior's bats and marvel at his bats.
And before that, it was Pete Rose. You know, Pete Rose used to travel his bats, not in the bat bag with everybody else, but in the uniform crate, packed very carefully in between uniforms so that they wouldn't get scratched. And of course, so they wouldn't be stolen also by, you know, maybe some airline personnel who are handling the luggage. But yeah, best hitters get the best and the hardest baseball bats. And then, of course, there were certain players that used to travel around with a drill press. A 3/8 of an inch drill on a drill press, and they'd cut a little hole right down the center of the bat. And then fill it full of.
What would they fill it with?
Well, they would fill it either full of cork.
Yeah.
And they'd cram it in there, you know, like you would almost like cram a musket, you know, and powder into a musket. And they'd also sometimes put in tiny little super balls.
Yeah.
But the whole idea was to be cram as much in there as possible and, you know, create a little bit of a bounce effect that you'd also take out a little bit of weight because you'd remove wood and replace it with something lighter. And all was great with those until
it shattered.
Yeah. And then bouncy super balls are bouncing around at home plate, and you're standing there with a grin on your face.
You say, I don't know how that happened. Someone must have replaced my bat with.
And when that happens, you can go to YouTube and see a lot of these. I mean, Chris Sabo is famous for that.
Sabo.
I think Billy Hatcher had a situation like that at one time. Super balls bouncing around. Of course, it wasn't his bat. I'm sure it was the pitcher's bat.
Absolutely. I can't believe a pitcher would do that.
Only for BP.
Double play gets the Giants out of the fifth. 7-1 Redlegs.
That means fantasy football draft season is upon us when it comes to the Reds locker room. Tucker Barnhart is the mayor, and he's all about making a big league impact.
It's a time where we can talk trash to fans and just be normal people and play in a fantasy league that helps benefit charities all over the world, to be honest with you. Big League Impact does a fantastic job, and like I said, I'm really fortunate enough to be a part of them.
Adam Wainwright started that foundation. Other major league players like Barnhart. We've seen guys in the past that have gotten involved, and he's right. They take this seriously. This fantasy league is not just, hey, let's show up and download the rankings. I mean, especially Barnhart, puts a lot of thought into his team, and it is very, very competitive.
Well, now they've been doing this for years. Do you have any idea, like, who are the best general managers of their fantasy football teams?
Barnhart's one of them. I know Cozart was good in the past. Mesoraco, his former catching mate. Skip Schumacher has been a part of raising awareness and money for that cause as well. We know how big fantasy football is in general in the United States. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, who gets it? Who gets it? Tough decision.
You have to cut that ball in thirds.
Yep. And now the pressure's on because the other two are going to be the rest of the game not happy at all that they don't have a baseball. One and one, the count to Andrew McCutcheon. One out into the sixth, just the 70th pitch for Castillo. And that includes 8 strikeouts. When you get up there and strike out, you can get that pitch count up there. This is just his 4th 2-ball count of the day. First 3-ball count now. Payoff pitch. We'll do it again. Got a spot in the shade. Count holds at 3-2. Steele serving him up. McCutcheon fouling him off.
You know, I was mentioning earlier how perfect it is for Castillo today to be just dominating the strike zone, just filling it up with strikes. Because when you've got a big lead, that's what you want your pitcher to do, is just come right after the hitters. And his ratio of strikes to balls has just been among the leaders in baseball here this year.
8th pitch of the at-bat. Hamilton, a little hop, skip, and a catch.
Just to give you an idea of those elite games in which pitchers dominated the strike zone. And they're of course the pitchers that you would think would be on top this year so far. Max Scherzer and Rick Porcello, both having tremendous years. They throw balls about 18% of the time, and that's about as good as it gets right there. For a while there, Castillo was right around the 15% mark.
Brandon Crawford 0 for 2 here today. The 2-0. And a rare 3-0 count. That is just easy gas at 97 for Castillo.
Get over $9,100 below MSRP on this specially equipped Sierra 1500 Denali.
From 3-0 to 3-2. Payoff pitch. Got him. Another 1-2-3 inning for Luis Castillo, his third in a row. 9 strikeouts. Concert presented by Prasco. This year's concert features Dove award-winning band 10th Avenue North. Don't miss their live performance from the field after the Reds take on the Padres. Tickets are available now for as low as $12. Visit Reds.com today. Home half of the 6th. Luis Castillo will take his third at-bat of the game. His first 2 at-bats came both in the 3rd inning. One run, 4 hits, 1 error for the Giants. 7-9-0 for the Reds. One out. Follow Fox Sports Ohio on Twitter. Relive and share great moments, get game updates, and hear from players before and after games. Follow along at Fox Sports OH on the Twitter. You could catch Chris Welsh's piffy little comments throughout the day. Cutchin won't get this one. Billy off to the races. He is on his way to third base and standing easily with the triple. Watching him fly around the bases is amazing.
Just think about if you're in the Giants dugout and you're watching Billy Hamilton race around the bases the way he does right here, and you have a home ballpark that is a huge cavernous ballpark that could use the speed of Hamilton probably more than anywhere else in baseball. And there were a lot of rumors around the trade deadline and even over the winter time whether, you know, the Giants were extremely interested in trying to acquire Billy Hamilton. That just kind of reinforces it right there.
Infield will play in. Peraza, drive, left center field. Jose does it again. Homer here last night, Homer's here today. 9-1 Reds.
There's that spot. I mean, Jose Peraza has a home run spot, just like just about everybody else who hits home runs. And you get that in that little down and end zone, a couple of inches above the knees. He's going to put the barrel on it. That one was hit a long way.
Blistered one out to left, a missile home run last night. And how about his last 4 games? 10 for 18. That's a .555 average, 4 doubles, 2 home runs. And there was a time when Peraza, the only way he was getting on base was little flares over the second baseman or the first baseman. And Jeanette shoots one the other way. His second hit of the game. Fourth straight multi-hit game for Scooter Jeanette. And he joins Peraza in that category. And a slow walk to the mound by pitching coach Kurt Young. And we're going to have a pinch runner on first base, and this will be the major league debut of Aristides Aquino. Scooter Jeanette will leave to a round of applause. I imagine we'll see Herrera move to second base and Aquino stay into the game. Go out there to left, we'll see. Pitch to Eugenio Suarez in the dirt. Two balls and no strikes to Suarez. Back in the third, a 2-run home run by Suarez, his 27th of the season, now a new career high. And those 27 home runs, 5th most ever by a Reds third baseman. Tony Perez had 39 back in 1970. And Doggy also had 37. And here's a shot into the left field corner. Aquino on his way to third base. They're going to hold him up there. And Suarez into second base easily as the hit parade continues for the Reds.
There's that spot again, which is down and away for Suarez. Everybody's got their sweet spot. And last time Suarez got one there, he launched it for a home run.
Bruce Bochy to the mound. He'll take the ball from Ty Block. It has been a tough day for Giants pitching. Hunter Strickland will come into the game.
is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Good day for the home team. 9-1, 1 out, bottom of the 6th, and the Reds hope the newest victim is Hunter Strickland. New pitcher for the Giants facing Phillip Ervin. Second and third, 1 out. One. And you know Eugenio Suarez is a talkative guy. How about between innings? Talking it over with crew chief Tom Hallion and the boys.
He's doing the listening, Suarez is, and Hallion is doing the talking, and that's exactly really what you want to see right there. Suarez still a young guy, even though he's having a great year, and he's an all-star. But when you get put on a pedestal like that, I mean, you can make an argument that Suarez right now is the best player on this Reds team. If not, he's a top 3. So you want your best player to set an example in everything you do, in showing up at the ballpark, in running out every ground ball, and running out every pop-up. You may not want it, but that's what comes with the territory of being the man. And I think also is how you treat umpires. And when you slam your helmet down and you show up the umpire, I thought it took a lot of good judgment on the part of the home plate umpire, Phil Cuzzy, not to toss him, because he showed him up right then and there in a runaway ball game. So hopefully Suarez learned something, and that Tom Hallion's words resonated a little bit.
1-2 to Ervin. Kino will put it third base, 2 outs.
Because when you when you consider Suarez and the entire package that you have with Eugenio, here's a strikeout, here's what he did. He thought it was inside, and he's going to react like that. It's a blow-up game at this point. But what you really want from Suarez is for him to take his game to the next level. And that means being a leader on this ball club. And I would think that, of all the players that I've seen on this team, he's the best suited to perhaps be the captain of this team, even if it's not officially named. He's the guy that could best fit those shoes. But in order to do that, you've got to just do a couple of things a little bit better, and that's one of them.
Agreed. Barnhart has extended his hitting streak to now 6 games with that single in the third. Reds leave 2, but get 2 more. 9-1. inning. Boy, it was fun to watch. Dilson Herrera leadoff single. Kurt Casale RBI double. 2 runs come plateward. Jeanette. Suarez 2-run bomb. And Jose Peraza. And Luis Castillo has been terrific in this game. Efficient and filthy. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run. That was a gift. Hasn't walked a batter, struck out 9. And a broken bat pop-up, gloved by Barnhart. 1 out here in the 7th. Aristides Aquino stays into the game. He's in right field. Philip Irvin moves from left field, or from right field to left field. And as speculated, Dilson Herrera from left field to second base. No balls and 2 strikes to Nick Hundley. Just 85 pitches for Castillo. (18 of 24 first pitch strikes now for Luis. And fields his position, 2 outs. Castillo with 9 punch outs and no walks. Last Reds pitcher with 9 or more strikeouts and 0 walks in a game, Johnny Cueto. You got to go back to April of 2014 against the Pirates. He had 12 strikeouts in that game and no walks.
Well, you just had a feeling that Castillo had it in him. I mean, to give you this type of a performance, you know, he got knocked around a little bit last time. We showed you some pitches that he missed out over the plate, and the Diamondbacks took him deep, and the home run ball got to him. But prior to that, he had a couple of very good starts. And you just figured if he could just get the ball over the plate more, if he could pitch inside, especially to left-handers a little bit more. And he has just been pounding the strike zone. And of course, there's probably one guy in the Reds dugout right now thinking, hey, don't be afraid to save a few runs for me. That would be Homer Bailey, who's pitching tomorrow against the Brewers.
Reds will fly out after this game and head up to Milwaukee to open up a 7-game road trip. They will not have an off day in this next week. 3 in Milwaukee, 4 at Wrigley Field. And obviously the Brewers and the Cubs right in the hunt. And that'll be 7 games of spirited baseball. And then the Brewers come here, so next 9 will be interesting. That one's off the wall. Hamilton with a quick throw in, and just to get that in the vicinity of making it a close play. Terrific job by Hamilton. The ball was stung.
Well, the ball left over the plate. Really one of the only mistakes that Castillo has made on the day, and in a 9-1 ball game, no harm done. But look how Hamilton plays this and then immediately gets it back in.
And now the 8-batter, Gorgis Hernandez. And that ends a streak of 13 in a row retired by Luis Castillo. Quite the run. And 16 of those 13 punch outs. Peraza gets away from Barnhart, and a run's going to score.
Barnhart's looking at his glove like the ball went right through the webbing. And it did actually go right through the webbing. I mean, this is ball is thrown nicely, caught right in the glove, and it goes right through the webbing.
Wow.
Equipment failure.
Well, that, unless he changed gloves, is Brandon Dixon's glove.
Boy, boy.
And the glove doctor for the Reds is Tomas Berra.
Yeah, he appreciates that call out right now.
Tomas, he just fixes them. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
Well, they're laughing about it a little bit in there, and there's Tomas, and he's taking out the dental floss. He's going to use some leather this time.
I think he's given up on that one. You know, I'm done. That's not minor surgery. That's major surgery that needs to be done on that glove.
You got a plane flight from here to Milwaukee. You know, keep it occupied for a couple of hours.
Now a new glove. I wonder whose that is. Maybe that's Votto's. No, he wears black gloves. Or uses black gloves.
Of course, there's no rule that says that a first baseman has to use a first baseman's glove.
It is Votto's glove. Hunter Pence at the plate. Look out, bat goes a-flying.
Boy, oh boy. That's about all the Giants need is an injury in their dugout after this 3-game series. There goes the whirly-bird.
All kinds of equipment malfunctions here. Over Phillip Ervin. A ball which he came in on. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes the throw to the plate, and nope. It's away from Casale. And the Giants have scored 2 here in the 7th.
Hit very hard by Pence. This guy's got one of the more unusual approaches at the plate as you'll ever see. And that was a pretty good pitch by Castillo. Rips it down the left field line. Looks like they've got a chance to get the runner at the very back end of this, but the ball gets out of Casale's glove.
Jim Riggleman has already gone to home plate umpire Phil Cuzzy. He'll make a double switch. He'll take the ball from Luis Castillo. And this will be a big round of applause for the Reds right-hander. A terrific afternoon. Well-deserved standing ovation Even the Giants fans appreciate this one. Now it's time for our Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. And Luis Castillo is ahead of batters, throwing first pitch strikes. The changeup was filthy. It was impressive to watch. Giants have gotten a couple of runs here in the inning, but an error at first base did not help the situation. Amir Garrett on the hill. Brandon Belt at the plate. One pitch. Right at Irvin. Garrett gets the job done. Picks up Luis Castillo. Per usual on Sundays, we will keep it right here for the singing of God Bless America. And these are one of my favorites right here. Performed, and they'll do an excellent job. The Mystics here at Great American Ballpark.
As well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome the Mystics as they lead us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Powered by AWS. Eugenio Suarez, 106.4 miles per hour off the bat. 419 feet of nasty, and his friend outdid him. 426. 22-degree launch angle. (9-3) Reds. 13 hits for the Redlegs. They're trying to hold on and complete a 3-game sweep. New pitcher, 4th of the afternoon for Bruce Bochy. It's Ray Black.
Yeah, we saw Ray Black the other day, and he throws the ball very hard. He was the one, however, in the 11th inning. Gave up that little hanging slider home run to Phillip Ervin for a walk-off win.
Herrera 1 for 3 here today. Singleton scored in that 7-run third. Strikeout and a pop out. Reds got 7 in the third, 2 in the 6th. And both of the scoring innings, the Reds as a team hit for the cycle in those innings. Cue ball shot to the right side. Did he get there in time? He did. Black got a late start getting to first base, but he outruns Herrera for out.
Yeah, well, when it was fielded by the second baseman, he's assuming that Brandon Belt, the first baseman, will be there. And somehow he gets there just a hair before Herrera does. A couple of steps over there by Brandon Belt, and that's what caused a little extra PFP happening.
The dreaded PFP, especially in the month of August.
Well, you see pitchers cover first base more than ever before. Used to be the first baseman used to play primarily so that they could get to the bag in the event of a ground ball anywhere in the infield. Now they play where the balls are supposedly going to be hit according to the hit charts, the shifts, and pitchers have to get over there more now than ever.
Brewers leading the Cardinals 2-0 in the 4th. That one in St. Louis. Brewers the next opponent for the Reds. Cubs and Pirates tied at 1 in Pittsburgh in the 6th. Cardinals won yesterday. Brewers lose. And look at the Cardinals. They've come all the way back, and if the playoffs were to start right now, it would be your second wild card team. That is a big weekend set in St. Louis. Milwaukee gets good midweek crowds. There'll be a good crowd on hand as the Reds roll into town after this one. A couple of night games and a day game. Homer Bailey gets Chase Anderson tomorrow night. 7:30 Reds live. Sal Romano Jr. Guerra on Tuesday night. And then afternoon tilt. Freddie Peralta gets the ball for the Brewers, and he'll face Robert Stevenson. Kurt Casale, his 3rd hit of the game. Tomorrow afternoon, join Fox Sports Ohio in a special salute to the 2018 Memorial Tournament honoree Hale Irwin and look back at his life and his legendary career. Special tees off tomorrow at 3:30 followed by the Legends Luncheon at 4 right here on Fox Sports Ohio. First at bat of the game for Brandon Dixon. McCutcheon, long way to go, and he can't get it. It's a fair ball. Castillo had to wait to see if that ball would be caught, and Dixon will have to stop at second base. Did that ball get out of play? It sure did. Ground rule double. The ball goes into the left field corner or the right field corner. We actually lose sight of the baseball here from our broadcast vantage point. Just inside the chalk. And a souvenir. Last time up for Hamilton, a triple, and he scored. Also has a sacrifice fly RBI here today. And this one down the right field line. This will plate 2. Billy on his way to second. Billy's going for third, and he'll be in there with the second triple in as many at-bats.
Wow.
11-3 Reds.
Well, Hamilton gets one left-handed and gets one right-handed, correct? Did he get the other one against the left-handed pitcher in the 6th inning?
He did.
This one down the right field line and the other one in the right field gap.
The one in the 6th off of Ty Block. And Hamilton now with 3 RBIs on the afternoon.
Kurt Young delivering the good news and the bad news to Roy Black. The good news is the bus is warmed up and the plane is ready to head to New York. We have no more games to play here in Cincinnati. The bad news is we have nobody warming up in the bullpen, so this inning is yours.
That was just the second 2-triple game in Great American Ballpark history, and the first by a Red. 2013, Brad Miller, the Seattle Mariners, accomplished it first, and the first Red to do it. 2 triples in a game, and this is one of the hardest ballparks to hit a triple in because of the small dimensions of the outfield. Smiles all around here today. What an afternoon Peraza has had. 3 for 4. Home run, 2 runs scored. And he's got that average up to 293. That'll drift out of play. The 2-2. And it holds right there. 16 hits for the Reds. 7 different Reds players have extra base hits today. 7 different players. Swing and a miss. Down goes Peraza. And now the major league hitting debut of Aristides Aquino. He has never taken an at-bat above Double-A. Right-handed batter, big kid, with some serious power.
Well, we saw him in spring training hit some long, long home runs.
His trouble, like many tall players, big strike zone, big looping swing, consistency of putting the ball in play. And you know that saying, when he hits them, they stay hit. It's true with this guy. And a rocket of an arm, too. One ball, 2 strikes.
One fastball followed up by all breaking pitches. Maybe he'll get a fastball to hit right here on a 2-2 count. What a big moment in this young man's life.
And that's a big old welcome to the bigs. The Reds get 2 more and lead 11-3. Everything you need to know to get ready for that game. It's Reds Live, the pregame edition, brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. First look at the lineups, features, interviews, tech talk, Tom's tidbits, and more. And here's the upcoming probables. In Milwaukee, Bailey v. Anderson tomorrow night. And that'll be a 7:30 for Reds Live. Likewise on Tuesday, Romano versus Guerra. Afternoon tilt on Wednesday, 1:30 Reds Live, 2:10 first pitch Cincinnati time. Freddie Peralta, the youngster, will face Robert Stevenson. Amir Garrett still on the hill for the Reds. He took over for Luis Castillo, 2 outs into the 7th. Final line on Castillo, 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, only 1 of which was earned. No walks, 9 strikeouts, threw 98 pitches, 76 of which were strikes. He was just pumping the strike zone over and over. And the one earned run he gave up could have easily have been an unearned run as well. Misplayed ball in left field. Airmailed it. Probably should have put that in his back pocket.
Yeah, an infield hit the whole way as soon as he gets by the third baseman who swung away around the shortstop anyway. Kind of a Hail Mary right there that ends up against the screen.
And that'll be a base hit and an E6 to allow the runner to go to second base.
Screen is out of play.
Yep. Austin Slater is going to hit. .269 batter is Slater. No home runs, 12 RBIs. Through the legs of Castillo, and panic with an infield hit, and the Reds have given him 2 bases.
Yeah, you don't want this game to start turning sloppy and end on a bad note. That's going to be a pass ball. I don't know whether Castillo was looking for something different than what Garrett serves him up, but you know, Garrett throws hard. The ball cuts and tails all over the place. And it probably was a cross up because you see the mandatory meeting after a pass ball. Catchers don't like that at all.
No.
Every major league catcher, minor league catcher, college catcher feels like if it doesn't hit the dirt, I'll get it.
Well, barring a major comeback by the Giants, the Reds are going to be 44-29 versus the Giants, beginning with the 2008 season. Two balls and 2 strikes. Full count. The Reds hold on as well. Going back to June 10th, they'll be 7 games over 500 since that time. Down goes Slater, 10th strikeout of the afternoon for Reds pitchers.
What a hard breaking slider that is. Good high release point for Amir Garrett. You know, over the years, when I first saw Amir Garrett pitch after he was drafted, of course, when he was originally drafted by the Reds, he was still playing college basketball most of the season. And he would come in the summertime and, you know, pitch when he could, basically. And his delivery was very much like a short arm delivery. His breaking ball had a very low arm angle on it, kind of flat, really didn't have a lot of deception. There's always some promise there, but along the way he's made some major adjustments to his delivery. And that arm is getting a little bit more fluid and longer arm action.
This will play to run. And Darno with an RBI double.
He got the slider right there too, Darno did.
Here's Evan Longoria. Let's Gabe Garrett a break. He last pitched on the 13th against Cleveland. Gave up 4 earned runs in just 2/3 of an inning. And this one by Castillo again. And it's been a different Garrett last 28 appearances.
I like to see the same thing happen to Amir Garrett that has happened with Luis Castillo, which him, you know, having more confidence in his stuff so he fills up the strike zone a little bit more. I don't think he gives himself enough credit for potentially being as good as he can really be.
Hamilton, give it a go with the throw to the plate. In fact, they respect his arm so much nowadays. Darno stayed right where he is.
I'll tell you, appreciates that as much as anybody is the pitcher Amir Garrett right there. Saved himself an Ernie. Gives you now a chance to get out of this inning with 1 less run. That's really about the only time that you can risk missing the cutoff man and not have any bad things happen to you. Nobody on base to advance.
Hamilton made the transition from shortstop to center field. I mean, you look at him, he's slight in build. Skinny guy, you don't think that he's going to have a good arm. And they tested him early and often. And the league found out pretty good arm out there.
You know, he's not the first Reds player to have done that. You know, go back to Eric Davis.
Yeah.
Eric Davis made that transition. Reggie Sanders made that transition. A lot easier to go that way from infield to outfield than the other way.
Yep. 11th strikeout of the afternoon and free pizza. Padres Saturday, September 8th for as low as $12. Thanks to Queen City Sausage, the first 20,000 through the gates are going to get a Joe Morgan replica statue. Join the Reds in celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Hall of Famer's bronze statue dedication. Tickets are available at Reds.com. 11-4. Reds will hit for what they hope is the final time, and we've seen this more and more throughout Major League Baseball, and that's a position player pitching, and it'll happen here. Chase d'Arnaud.
I really can't remember it happening this year to the Reds, having the opposition throw a position player. Maybe once. I know Joel looking it up quickly, but Reds have run a couple out there. Of course, the most impressive in my mind has either been Alex Blandino when he did it against the Cleveland Indians, or Dixon.
Dixon with that 67-mile-per-hour cutter that cut right through the top 3 hitters of the Cleveland Indians.
Including Jose Ramirez, who nearly hurt himself on strike 3.
Right. Irvin's also been on the mound. Pennington early in the season. Saw Scooter Gennett last year.
Yeah, but when your guys are pitching more than the opposition's guys are pitching, that's kind of the point I'm bringing up here. It's nice to see somebody else with a position player out there.
Did I bury the lead there? Is what you're saying?
Go ahead and let me know the details of this.
Eric Kratz for Milwaukee.
Okay.
Chris Jimenez for the Cubs versus the Reds.
Didn't like he threw it.
One out. And here's Phillip Ervin. This is the first Major League pitching appearance for Chase d'Arnaud. Did it once in the minors in 2014 for Indianapolis.
Boy, it is amazing what you can find on the internet nowadays. That is some deep searching right there.
It is, and it didn't take him long. Our man Joel Luckham. Next step would be to put all of his information, his books, and his research tools on top of his briefcase. Ervin drives one into right field. Second hit of the day for Phillip Ervin. Following each and every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, we put a capper on it in the famed Fox Sports Ohio condominium. It's brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. The condo is dark but inviting now, but it'll be lit up after this one. Our little slice of heaven. The condo. The batter is Preston Tucker. Two outs. And that'll bring up Dilson Herrera. 0-1 pitch. 1-1. Herrera 1 for 4 here today. Off to the ninth. 7-run lead for the Reds. Well, so far this weekend, the Giants haven't been able to handle this. Reds 3 outs away from completing a 3-game sweep and a big lead entering the ninth. And Wandy Peralta hoping to close the door.
Hey, now if you're thinking about turning this game off afterwards and not joining Reds Live, the post-game version, you might not want to do that, because we have prepared for a possible sweep with a new and improved broom. I'm sure the Nimbus will still be there, but the new and improved sweep broom, you got to check it out.
Oh my goodness. I'm a little sad. I'm excited yet sad at the same time. The Nimbus has been very good to me.
Well, it has. And will you be down there operating the post-game show?
Not right away, but I think I'm joining as a
okay. Well,
sort of like, you know, Johnny Carson used to have a guest at the end that was just kind of like a throw-in.
Why don't you
I'm
grab
like
the
a
Nimbus
throw-in guy
out of the utility closet, or
the Nimbus, yeah.
And
maybe we could do 2 versions.
Yeah, why not?
Because the Nimbus is a tradition, unlike any other, except maybe the Masters.
Well put.
But I'm looking forward to it and curious as to what it is. Somehow I sense you had something to do with this. Yes?
Perhaps. It's a team effort.
Nice. It's all about team around here, except when you're throwing me under the bus, which is often. Peralta looks at the signature of the commissioner and nearly airmails it. That might have been the hardest ball he throws today, and it was to first base.
I think it nearly pulled Brandon Dixon's arm out of his socket here with this one when he reached up there to grab it.
Looks at the baseball, and maybe a little too long. Goodness gracious. Dixon's like, easy.
Easy, big fella.
I've already had one ball go through the webbing of a first base glove. in this game. Herrera, did he catch that ball? He did.
Wow.
That turned around, bobbled it. In the end, it's an out.
That's a dandy. Look at him covering up with the other hand there just to make sure that baby stays in there.
And that's why they say use two hands. Giants down to their final out. Alan Hansen at the plate. Reds' last 10 home series. This will be the 7th series win over that span. 2 series losses, they split with Milwaukee in a 4-game set. And we're talking about series victories over the likes of the Cubs, Cardinals, Phillies, D-backs, Giants, Detroit. And a 20-12 overall record in those 10 series games. But a good run at home. Giants down to their final strike. Dixon in foul territory, has room, and the Reds complete a 3-game weekend sweep of the San Francisco Giants, winning this one going away. 11-4 is your final score, and it's the 7th straight win versus the Giants here at Great American Ballpark. Reds will pack it up and head to Milwaukee with some momentum in tow. And we'll be back with more here in a moment.
Yeah, let's go, baby.